Hello everyone, another video on the Black Pill Femme channel, and today's video is brought to you through a donation from John, who is the channel's first member, and here's what he has to say. Hello, Black Pill Femme, I'm promoting a video with the purpose of seeking the help of a great narrator of stories from the channel. A lot of things have been happening in my life and I wanted to promote a video about it. I'm suffering punishment from the company because of some medical certificates I had to turn in. One of these punishments was a false accusation. I had said one thing to my coworker and she understood another. So, she went and told my manager, and it didn't go over very well. In this case, most of the people in higher positions were of the XX chromosome. They were women, and only the men in my company do physical labor. So, this girl tried to screw me over at the company. I denied her accusation, even though she had no proof of anything. The company and my coworkers supported her. They told me they were going to fire me, but that's just been an empty promise ever since. I've been suffering punishments at the company like changes in my location, fraud in my deposit, with my transportation allowance. But, for now, I'm calm and I don't really know what's coming next. I wanted to add more details about all of this, but it will have to wait for the next story. Working with these kinds of people is complicated. You shouldn't talk much about yourself. Always use the mask pill in these situations. Do your job and go home. You work and live with people. Give your opinion and help others who are in these kinds of jobs, where the company is clearly under a feminist regime. And John, thank you very much for the donation and video topic. I'm reminding you gentlemen, that if you want to promote a video here on the channel, the link is in the description in the pinned comment. And you also help the content stay up and free for all men. That way, you can also choose a story or a topic for me to talk about here on the channel. And also don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, turn on notifications, share the video, and feel free to comment, because that also helps the content and it's free. The corporate feminist system. Working in the corporate world is complicated, and he's still having to submit to these humiliations and these risks, you know. Man, money today is on the internet and freedom is too. Man, starting a YouTube channel changed my life. It simply changed my life and allowed me to leave Brazil, which is a simply crazy country. And it's such a good income that I can support myself anywhere in the world. So, it's a possibility, it's a very good opportunity and it exists. And it's there to be explored. Meanwhile, while you don't enter the digital world, you'll have to submit to these things that John is submitting to, which is feminist corporatism, which is HR full of women, and this literal mafia. It's a mafia, an oligopoly of women inside companies, where they, basically, dominate the minds of the men there and make them police other men they don't like, for example, persecution, violence, filling the boss's head to, in John's case, commit fraud with the guy's transportation allowance. You'll also have to submit to the union, the Cuck Union, which is exactly a militia. It's a real militia-like behavior from men who defend the interests of the women in the company, precisely because of this subservient culture that is very common in Gen X and Boomer, but that has spread to all the other generations. We see it even in Y and Z too. Men who believe that they have to be gentlemen. That chivalrous culture and preferential treatment for women. All feminism and all misandry. In the end, the hatred of men. Look, the apparatus of men, the mechanization of men, the feminine pragmatism that uses men merely as a weapon or a tool, is based solely and exclusively on chivalry, on the idea that men have that women need preferential treatment for being somehow inferior or more fragile, delicate, or vulnerable. A big mistake. That's why, in cases of false accusation, everyone always takes the woman's side, because they believe she is a potential victim or a victim in any situation, who because of her physical fragility, her physical vulnerability, her emotional vulnerability, and apparent innocence and delicacy, is incapable of any and all evil. But people can only understand the most obvious evil, which is that of physical violence, moral or sexual violence. But there are several other forms of violence and several other forms of evil, and generally the one practiced by women is a veiled evil. It's manipulation, it's lying, it's discord, it's social poisoning there, and this power has already brought down empires. This power has already destroyed companies, killed many people, generated wars, destroyed families, you know. But it's a hidden thing, almost conspiratorial. And this is the great vulnerability of man, as I won't remember exactly, but there's that saying that says, the weakness of man is his apparent strength, and the strength of woman is her apparent weakness. Because the apparent weakness is what makes them always seem like victims, and it makes everyone rush to their rescue. While the apparent strength of man is his apparent weakness, men, as the greatest physical capacities and the greatest emotional independence that men have, makes everyone think that they are invulnerable, that they can handle everything alone, and that in a stalemate situation between the two, he is always the one in the wrong. And this lie, I think, is one of the ones that most harms men internally. Chivalry and the feminist debt. Stalemates between men and women in our society are comparable to stalemates between adults and children. Men are expected to behave maturely and like adults, but women are allowed to have childish behaviors. And this is based on chivalry. This is based on the preferential treatment that men, especially, give to women, and that's what, in my opinion, as men and as underworld operators, we have to completely destroy culturally, not necessarily as a movement, a political agenda, but individually. It's something that affects all of us, because this is truly a social imposition on men. This idea is still ingrained in society that men owe some kind of protection or favors to women, regardless of which woman it is or what connection you have with this woman. Even if she is not known, if she is not from your family, you owe some kind of preferential treatment. And the fuel for feminism is precisely this idea that men owe women something. This idea of debt is also based on the narrative that men have historically oppressed women and therefore they have to pay a historical debt. And also the fact that there was maybe an injustice, an imbalance of nature by making men more physically capable and emotionally independent than women, and for that, they need assistance, as if it were, I don't know, a type of biological socialism where the strong, in quotes, help the weaker, in quotes. This is the shit we have to destroy, this is the shit we have to end. And as an individual, the best we can do is reject this. Above all, reject this behavior, do less for women. There's a very good book that talks about this, which is Why Women Deserve Less, and it talks precisely about the concept of hypergamy too. How female hypergamy is leveraged when men are more chivalrous, because women start to demand from their potential partners a treatment that a chivalrous man gave her at some point, so the more men give to women, the more difficult it becomes for these men to attract these women. It's like inflating a balloon. You inflate a balloon so much that you can't get a hold of it, it gets too big. The feminine ego, with this preferential treatment that men give them, inflates their ego and makes them fly away. So it is in the interest of men as individuals, not necessarily as a group, a red pill movement, it has nothing to do with that. I'm saying that it's in your interest, you as an individual, that chivalry, the chivalrous culture in society, ends in that women receive less because above all, this will make women more accessible. After all, they will receive less, so they will progressively start to accept less. This will reduce many risks that men have socially in relation to women. That way, the value of their word will no longer be worth more than a man's. And later, who knows, but maybe this is even utopian, feminist laws that are basically female supremacy, which are exclusively feminine laws that give them a status of superior citizens, like for example, a specialized police station for a group that suffers the least amount of violence in society. Women suffer much less violence in society than men and they have a specialized police station. It's billions and billions of public spending just on this, and its taxpayers' money who are mostly men. This is chivalrous culture politically positivized in our society. It's something that has reached all levels of society, political, social, cultural, sexual. It's inside families, it's inside churches, it's inside all institutions. It's something bizarrely normalized and it shouldn't be like that. So when we as individuals reject chivalry above all, reject feminine privilege, we are not just helping other men in the male cause, because that's not the biggest concern. Above all, we are helping ourselves, because we are rejecting an oppressive system. That's right, that shitty word, it's used by shitty groups and in a frivolous, inappropriate way, for sure, but in fact, oppression exists as a word, it still has meaning. And when a guy suffers a false accusation or he's coerced into being chivalrous because otherwise he loses some kind of social credit, he receives some kind of sanction there in his company, like, oh, go there and do this favor for your coworker, go there and sacrifice yourself for her, and if you don't, you'll be seen badly in the company. This is a system of oppression. And even a castrating system, because this makes a man offer women for free what he should be charging to offer, because if men offer the system of protection and provision for free, which was a kind of thing that you should only give to women in your family, women who treat you well, women who offer you something, like your wife, your mother, if you give this to unknown women, they're going to think, man, this guy's giving me this for free, why would I pay? The dating market today, it's totally unbalanced for men, because they are being stimulated to believe that the system of protection, provision, chivalry, privileges and such, that they offer to women, is something that they have to give for free. They don't have to charge anything, it's some kind of courtesy, it's some kind of citizenship, it's mere education, it's pure, simple, and basic education that he received at home. This is a castrating narrative. This is even a narrative that turns you into an incel, in my opinion, a real incel. Why is the married man the real incel? He's the true soul. Why doesn't the married man have sex? Because within the marriage, there is a whole system where the man, he has to give the woman everything he can offer without receiving anything in return. He becomes afraid, he is coerced, because he knows that if he imposes himself in any way, or if he rejects the woman's whims there, he gets a divorce and loses everything. This is real oppression. So, knowing that the woman doesn't need to invest in the guy, she stops giving him sex, she stops being pleasant, and that's why we see so many marriages that are horrible for men today. And ironically or not, women tend to gravitate towards men who are not so chivalrous, or sometimes they are even ruthless. The men who really treat them badly, we know very well that the softie, the guy who is chivalrous, he doesn't receive proportionally what he is offering. This idea that they put in men's heads is totally illusory, that if they are charitable and chivalrous with women, they will become attractive to them. And it's not true. We see the men who are most attractive to women, they treat them in an aromantic way, and the women themselves are even reaching the mainstream media. It's something that women are even admitting. They're already getting to TikTok videos, these short videos like Instagram Reels and everything, and they themselves are admitting and questioning, why do we like the scoundrels? Why do we like the men who treat us badly? When you go to see romance novels and, especially, women's literature, the heartthrobs that populate these even more erotic dreams of theirs are not the most passionate and charitable and chivalrous and gentle ones. Quite the opposite, in fact. Quite the opposite. So, I even think that, as a sexual strategy, the famous strategy to get more women, a man cannot be charitable and gentle and chivalrous to this point. Of course, he has to be a little arrogant, he has to be a little ruthless, but not necessarily a troglodyte. You have to understand that everything has to have a level of balance here. It's not about arriving, spitting on the floor, refusing to help, not talking, being an asshole and all that. It's simply the guy stopping being a sucker, you know. Of being chivalrous, of treating a woman better than he would treat another man. It's simply continuing to be friendly, continuing to be socially pleasant, just as you are with other unknown men. And, even as a sexual strategy, this works better than being too nice. Anyway, gentlemen, thank you very much to those of you who have followed along this far. Remember to always have wisdom and consciousness. And whoever can, become a member, because every week there is new and exclusive video and material there that won't appear here on YouTube. Until next time.